Tar Street. And Ella's here, and just acknowledge Mr Vaughan there in the back row there. Afternoon, Vaughan. Nice to see you.
Vaughan's the manager of Binary, and if you have any questions, he's happy to answer them.
Come up, Vaughan, if you like. Do you want to come up and sit next to Ella?
So I'll take the report as being read and just kind of summary comment on it, that it's really an opportunity to add some vibrancy to that town centre space for the loss of 2 car parks there. You will have seen that Vaughan's consulted with the surrounding businesses and they've signed off their approval of the proposal, and Town Centre Taupo are also supportive of the proposal, which is at zero cost to council. The only thing that I have to add is if council would prefer a more temporary solution, we do have platforms and tubs down at the Riverside Market which are owned by council, and we could work with Vine on utilising those. So I have some pictures of those here. Anyone would like to look at those? The only downside to that alternative option is that there would be less dining space because they're kind of an awkward shape to fit into not parallel but sideways parks.
So the preferred option, Ella, is as the agenda item? Yeah. Okay, cool. Councillor Hickling?
So, are you proposing to use the same colour pavers and to extend onto those 2 car parks as the sidewalk?
Exactly the same as it is at the moment, and also subject to your approval.
Okay.
Our landscape architect would be the one that would sort that out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman? Yes, Councillor Boddy?
Thank you, Ella, for the presentation. I had a comment here. Was the garden going to be moved to the top side or stay? And you've got this business about the tubs. They look as though they're only ready for scrap metal. You probably can do a little bit better. But if the garden's not moved, do we lose another car park, or is it just solely on that 2 area? Yeah, I realise that.
The garden.
Are you talking about if we use the platform temporary measure, or?
What I was looking at, we've got the garden there as it is now. So is the garden going to go there, or are you going to take that out and put those steel bins in?
No, that's where the paving's going to be extended out over those 2
The pavement's going to be extended out. So what I'm getting at, that garden stays, or we put tubs in?
No.
The garden is in.
The garden stays.
Sorry, Dennis?
The garden's going to stay exactly where it is. It's purely for the use of those 2 car parks that are highlighted in that photo.
Thank you. So if you mention the steel tubs, where are they going to go?
So the steel tubs is under the alternative temporary measure, and they would go within that red area as well. You'll see on that handout I've given you, there's a plan that shows the dimensions of the temporary platforms and how there's some funny, awkward triangle areas left over. Yeah. That could be where...
We've tried that before in the past elsewhere, haven't we? We've put those potted... I haven't got the photo here. Yeah. And it sort of doesn't it still looks like a car park, but you can't get in because of the tree there. Yeah.
That's really the reason why my question. The second one was that the slope of the... where are we? It was the slope of the curb area being 3 to 4%. Have you talked to Access Taupo about that?
Have I talked to who, sorry?
Access Taupo.
No.
No.
So the question would be, would you be able to easily wheel a wheelchair on there?
I imagine you would be able to.
Because it'd be the same level, won't it?
Well, I think you really need to have a talk, because we're now getting quite stroppy on that we do have access for people that do need access. Because one day I might want to go there, and
Surely you'd put the pavers to the level of the curb, top of the curb, wouldn't you, Dennis?
It's all at the same level as the footpath.
So there won't be a slope.
No, just to explain, the steel bins were used to protect diners from traffic. That's the purpose of the steel bins, although we tried to sort of have trees in them to make them look nice. If we extend the pavers out into those car parks, it will be at the same level, and therefore you'll have a curb to protect the diners. So that's the difference between the 2 suggestions.
Any other question? Mr. Lewis?
In terms of the slope of that paved area, that's largely determined by the level of the footpath where the current curb is and where the curb would be if it was extended out, and that's typically about that 3 to 4%. We haven't done any specific design yet, but that would be worked through at that time.
So effectively, it's going to be 3 or 4%, or it's going to be flat. Which is it going to be?
Just explain.
As I said, we need to do a specific design. There will be a grade on it. At the moment, based purely on what's there at present, it would be in the order of 3 to 4%, but we'll be trying to minimise that as much as possible.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if it doesn't suit access Taupo, then I think you really need to reconsider what you're doing.
We would be taking it to access Taupo, or at least some of their representatives, before we complete it.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jollins?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question. Were there any nearby businesses that objected? There were none. Okay, good. Thank you.
Councillor Truman?
Yes, so it's similar along those lines. When we were talking about the sale of the Tūwharetoa car park, we had a lot of the public were upset at losing spaces, car park spaces. So does council envisage any public shopkeepers are happy for it? So that's positive. But have we got any precedent of this happening in other places and any public against it?
You mentioned in the report that you could replace a couple of taxi things, or did I read that right?
At the moment, the car parks are taxi stands, but they're not being used sufficiently for taxi stands, so staff are looking at whether they could just be changed to normal car parks. The indication we've got from the feedback we've received is that the public would be supportive of this, but then again, that's only the feedback from the street and from Town Centre Taupo. There could be other businesses in the wider district that have an issue with this. But car parking is not an issue here. You can park further out and walk in, sure.
Councillor Park? Did you?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I was just going to say that with the temporary, I do not support that concept of all. With last council meeting, we all will agreed to open up corners of streets and maybe use a bit of art and make it more accessible for people. So yeah, definitely don't support that. But I'd like to actually move this resolution. I really believe that, and congratulate Mr. Nen on wanting to add more to our Eat Street as such, and also to add to the vibrancy. And I've personally spoken to a couple of the other businesses on the other side of the street, and they're all for this 100%. So I'm very happy to move it.
I'll second that.
Cool. Okay. Councillor Krastowski?
Yes, thank you for that. Just a couple of questions. On a holistic basis, what is the long-term plan of the road and the parking overall for that street?
I know that the Taupo Town Centre structure plan is all about kind of increasing public space and opening it up to the public. I don't think there is specific.
Dennis?
There is no specific plans for the street. Its function in the transport network is likely to remain as it is, which is a combination of public space and transport, so it's not specifically transport, utilising what public space there is available for the dining experience.
Okay. The reason why I asked that, Your Worship, is that under the risks you quite rightly mentioned, Council may find it difficult to reason that another similar application should be declined. Now, if you look ahead and there are 2 or 3 other potential similar places that could ask for something like that, you in essence would change the function of the road and also diminish the car parking, which we haven't addressed as such on a long-term basis. I'm all for it in principle, but I just want to be sure in my own mind that the long-term perspectives have been looked at and investigated.
Councillor Harvey?
I'm all for it too, and I congratulate you. I think it's a great idea. That is the narrower side of the street, so it makes sense to actually add on some space on that side, and I think it'll definitely add to the flavour, so go for me.
Thank you, Councillor
Jim,
Harvey.
could just raise up in regards of Councillor Krotowski's comments. There are other areas in town that we've already approved. One recently, Spa Road in Komana or Titirapanga, one of the others. So it's already happening. In regards of that plan that Alice just talked about, that's actually on 10.4, what those two provisions are. So I'm quite happy with the deal.
Okay. Councillor Williamson.
Yes, sorry, thank you. Wish you guys do, support the proposal as well. And in terms of picking up Councillor Truman's point about, without preempting what may or may not happen in the future with regarding the potential development, it will definitely complement, at this stage, and also being on the sunny side of the street. Obviously, you propose to open. What else do you open, Siobhan? Normally.
11 o'clock till 10 or 11.
Yeah. So that will obviously. Will it be attractive being on the sunny side of the street, because I used to operate on the other side, because never got the sun. The others will probably envy yourself here, but it was all good for everybody. So I support it.
It's good when the wind is coming in like it is today, so there's not many places so I guess that are sheltered like we are.
All right, that sounds pretty good. Councillor, there's been a suggested resolution there, so we've got all that. Okay, right, so it's this 1 and 2, forget about the or. And it's been moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Cousins. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks, Bernard. All right, thanks Vaughan. Good to see you, and thank you, Ella. Item number 11, Waikato Plan. Mr. Nick Carroll. Good afternoon.
Your Worship and Councillors. It's a fairly short report, which is unusual for me, but there wasn't a great deal to put in it. So I'm quite happy to take it as read and answer any questions, but it's essentially a debate and a decision for you to make as elected members.
Sorry. Just in the recommended resolution, I'd just like it clarified that I was the alternate member. I never actually attended because Councillor Jollins did such a good job of going to all the meetings. I wasn't required, but I'd just like that reflected in the resolution, please.
Yep. Councillor Cousins.
Through the chair, thank you, Nick. Sorry, you get a short stay in the chair. Just a couple of questions I had. I suppose from an elected member's point of view, and it's the same with politics around the world, we get elected on our popularity, not necessarily on our skill set. So I would like to ask, and as you've attended a lot of the meetings with Councillor Jollins, so 3 questions for you, and I don't want to put you on the spot.
Going to?
No, I'm not. No. Is Councillor Jollins a respected member of that committee?
Could I comment on that? Could I comment on that? Because I've received feedback that Councillor Jollins is one of the top performers of that standing committee as things currently stand. The issue doesn't revolve around the performance of our councillor at all. In fact, quite far from it. The issue revolves around the fact that we have a mayoral forum with a bunch of mayors that have decided that they need to show the leadership of mayors to be able to progress the spatial plan forward, because there were certain other representation, people that are representing other councils that just weren't of the calibre of our own councillor there. So rather than debate who should or shouldn't be there from a mayoral forum perspective, they just called for all mayors to be around the table so that they could have the mayoral debate. That doesn't mean that at future meetings the alternate, if you choose to go with Councillor Jollins, is not able to go. It's purely a desire of the mayoral forum to have the mayors at the table to progress the debate.
I appreciate that, Rob, I do, but still it brings me back to not about what the want is of the mayoral forum, it's about what is best for that committee. And if Councillor Jollins has added value, how is she going to continue to add value to that role in a secondary position as an alternate?
Well, certainly, I acknowledge good work Councillor Jollins has done as well, and she's all over this like a lizard drinking, as it were, which is great. But I think what Rob's just alluding to is I think she will probably do still most of the work, if you're still okay to do that.
Well, point of order, Mr Chairman, not do most of the work, sir.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Not do most of the work.
So I think what they're wanting is the mayors to be the lead person and an alternate name. So, I'm happy with whatever you guys decide, but that's the general flavour of what's come out of the mayoral forum.
Mr. Chairman, should I just raise the point? The executive summary states that the forum has recently met and recommends that mayors, chairs of regional council should be the primary council. Can you give me, as a councillor, an understanding that you will be able to attend 100% of the meetings?
That's what I just said. I can't. I will not. I'll be able to go to some, but I won't
So
be able to go more.
effectively, how often does this forum meet, and how much notice is given?
Nick would know that.
The forum is scheduled to meet on a monthly basis. That meeting schedule has actually been laid out for the remainder of the year. I expect with the change in membership, with a number of the councils putting forward their mayors as the primary representative, that there may be some tinkering to that schedule. But as I say, all the members are very busy people, so the schedule is laid out months in advance.
So effectively, Mr. Chairman, if that is the case, you can write into your forward diary that on the 10th of every month, whenever the date happens to be, that you will be able to attend. If you have something that comes up in this area that you as the Mayor must attend, you have a deputy called Mr. Barry Hickling that can attend on your behalf. And I take into account 11(1) when it talks about the risks. And I think it's actually rather interesting when you read what those risks are, and I'm not going to go through them, but it mentions the heavy workloads of mayors, and we've already got an indication that there may be some other areas of the district whose mayor have those same workloads that won't be able to attend. So why are we considering changing the first delegate and the second delegate at this time?
We're not proposing that Councillor Jollins remains in her position as primary, and the mayor does the alternate.
I would second that.
Yeah, through the chair, can I comment? Firstly, in all due respect to Councillor Jollins, highly competent, we all know that. We want our mayor as our leader, and we will say we want our mayor to show leadership and to be here as the number one citizen in the district. So it's a bit of a disparaging suggestion to talk about popularity and incompetency. I find that very, very, very distasteful. The actual undertone there, I find that, I personally find an undertone there, that I find that the contact through all the mayors is through the district is the most relevant, the most appropriate way of dealing with the Waikato regional
I'll
plan.
respond if I can through the chair. That's not being disrespectful. We all have our skill set, Councillor Williamson. I have my weaknesses, as we all do. We all have our strengths. And from what I can gather from the feedback from staff, as well as other councillors, is that Councillor Jollins has performed her job admirably well, and if it isn't broken, why are we trying to fix it?
I wasn't suggesting it, quite the opposite. You're missing the point altogether. My point anyway.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, yes, just through the chair. I just think it's almost as if we're just getting probably a bit displaced on the direction from
the mayoral forum.
The mayoral forum is a particular path. It's almost like you take the names out of the resolution. It's that council replaces it. The mayor replaces a councillor as the primary representative on the committee. Roseanne has been all over this, and I know she's put a lot of time, a lot of work into it, and I think that's fantastic. But I think we're probably losing sight of what the actual direction is from the mayoral forum, and under your mayoral powers, Your Worship, I would have thought that if you wanted to be on a committee, then that's your right.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be on it, and the mayoral forum has requested my participation. So
no, the mayoral forum, sir, has suggested it is recommending. That hasn't come back to the individual districts with individual mayors to see what those individual districts want.
Okay. So, yes, Councillor Hickling?
I just look at this particular committee or working party a little bit like the Waikato Road Transport Committee that I'm on, and just about all the same mayors that are in this committee are on the Regional Transport Committee, and it does appear, as I said when we first started to allocate certain responsibilities to councillors, I did actually say that the Mayor should represent this Taupo District Council on the Transport Committee. And I see this exactly the same, no difference. So I think that's something that the regional councils and these larger committees, that's how they function.
Okay, thanks, Councillor. Any other commentary?
Through the chair, because obviously this concerns me, and I appreciate the vote of confidence from the team, and I have enjoyed working with Mr. Carroll. I think the question is, at the end of the day, this council can do whatever it decides to do. What this is just a project champion. It's a person that, I mean, at the end of the day, this forum and the mayoral forum don't have any particular, I guess, authority or jurisdiction. This is really just a communication job. This person is, I guess, the project champion. And I guess, from my point of view, the project champion is the person who is on the committee, who attends the meetings, not the alternate. There are some issues with the Waikato spatial plan, and I don't believe that we will ever address those issues if we just shuffle chairs around. So that's my view.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Johns. All right, there's a suggested resolution there. So, yeah, some... The alternative is... I'm happy to move the resolution of you and suggest you as the alternate.
On the basis that if I'm the alternate, then I'm just going when you're not available, I'm not the primary point of contact. Otherwise, I'll stand down. You find someone else, thank you.
Okay, so you're not happy to be the alternate? Okay, is anyone else happy to be the alternate then?
I'll say the alternate, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Park. All right, so I've moved the resolution. It's been seconded by Councillor Park. I haven't got a seconder yet, sorry.
Second it.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. As Councillor Park is the alternative. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Those against?
No. Have it recorded.
Jim. So, Councillor Cousins and Councillor Boddy. Right, thank you. Item number 12. John.